On the class schedule at week 13, the correction of Adam. We'll be picking up from about the middle, from the 14th paragraph from the end. So while you're getting that ready, I'd like to remind everyone about the Congress coming up in Israel in February of 2009, February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It'll be a major, really big event, and we hope to see everyone there. We're expecting about 6,000 people, at least 5,000, hopefully 6. Sign up if you haven't already. The registrations are going fast. There are only a limited number, 5,000 or so. So if you haven't already signed up, please sign up, and you can find more information on the website at www.kabbalah.info. We begin every lesson with an intention, and tonight's intention goes like this. To come to hate separation, one must first know what separation is, meaning what he is separated from, and then one may say that he wants to correct that separation. In other words, one should examine from what and from whom he is separated. And after that, he can try to amend it and connect himself to the one he is separated from. Those are the words of Baal HaSalam from the book of Shemati. And now the article, The Correction of Adam, Lesson 11, continuing from about the 14th paragraph from the end. Spiritual years correspond to the 6,000 degrees, the levels of Bia, and they cannot be matched with our material time referential. Ascent from the worlds of Bia to the world of Absolute is called Shabbat, which means Saturday. The portion ranging between the Tabur of Galgalta and the Parsa is called Shabbat. The first ascent is the ascent of the world of Berea to the world of Absolute. The second ascent, is the ascent of the world of Yetzirah to the world of Absolute. And the third ascent relates to the world of Asiya itself. The ascent of the worlds of Bia and the world of Absolute take place simultaneously. When the third phase of ascent occurs, the world of Absolute encompasses the Zir Anpin and the Malkut of Absolute and the worlds of Bia. At this time, the Rosh of the world of Absolute, Atik, Eric Anpin, Abba Ve'ima, duly cross the boundaries of the world of Absolute and enter the world of Adam Kadmon. The Rosh of Galgalta ascends in its turn, together with the Rosh Ab and the Rosh Sag, and they enter the world of Ein Sof. The direction of spiritual time is always from the bottom up. All souls, all of mankind, without being aware of the process, are constantly ascending, getting closer to the Creator in order to bond with Him. This is called the direct flow of spiritual time. Time is always measured in the positive direction, even if we experience the process as negative. Man is egoistic, which is why the spiritual is perceived as negative. However, man never degrades himself when he walks the path of spiritual progress. In this world, man should not seek to inflate his ego. Rather, he should long to come closer to the Creator. While walking towards this goal, until he completes his correction, man will increasingly sense his growing egoism. In other words, his natural egoism will seem worse compared to his divine attributes. The correct study of Kabbalah attracts the surrounding light, called Or Makif, whose function is to reveal to man what his true attributes are. These appear ever more negative, although they have remained unchanged. In fact, man has only become more aware of the true nature of his attributes under the influence of the divine light. This awareness reveals that man has made progress, even if he feels otherwise. What are the worlds of Bia like? They are the altruistic Kalim, which have fallen into the Ahap below the Parsa. These worlds are also divided into Galgalta Vianayim and a hop. Their Galgalta Vianayim end at the Chesa, the chest, of the world of Yetzirah, that is, after the 10 Sfirot of the world of Beriah and the 6 Sfirot of the world of Yetzirah. The 14 lower Sfirot from the Chesa of Yetzirah and below are the Ahap of the worlds of Bia. The world of Atzilut illuminates with its light the worlds of Bia and all the way down to the Chesa of the world of Yetzirah. The world of Atzilut is called Shabbat. The 16 upper Sfirot of the worlds of Bia, from the Parsa to the Chesa, are called the Shabbat boundary, but the world of Atzilut itself is called Ir, I-R, which means city. Even when all the worlds of Bia ascend to the world of Atzilut, it is still possible to work with desires located below the Parsa up to the Chesa of the world of Yetzirah. That is why in our world it is allowed during Shabbat to cross the limits of the city, but only in the limits of the city within the boundaries of the Tehum Shabbat. This distance is measured as 2,000 amma, which is about 3,000 feet, and 70 amma. How is this distance divided? From the Parsa to the Chesa of the world of Beriah, it is called Ibur and equals 70 amma. This distance is included in the world of Atzilut, even though it is located outside of it. It is an outer strip surrounding the city. The distance from the Chesa of the world Beriah to the Chesa of the world of Yetzirah equals 2,000 amma. The whole distance between the Parsa and the Siyam is 6,000 amma. The portion of the worlds of Bia stretching from the Chesa of Yetzirah to the Siyam is called shell section, Madur HaKlipat, the place of the husks. This Madur HaKlipat is composed of the Ahaps of the worlds of Bia, which embrace the 4 Sfirot of the world of Yetzirah and the 10 Sfirot of the world of Asiya. It is a place absolutely devoid of sanctity. One cannot go there during Shabbat. The souls are lifted to the worlds of Atzilut to show them that the souls are lifted to the world of Atzilut to show them what inherent limits exist there, so that they can keep within them. When we set ourselves limits, we do not notice them. We are above these limitations, and they are not constraining to us. Then the actions that we undertake stem from our own attributes. The goal of creation implies a personal ascent, and Shabbat exists in order to show us what exists in the higher worlds, what there is to strive for. Correction is achieved when the light of the Creator shines directly, no longer through the worlds that act like filters. The shining of the light is unbounded and brings unbridled delight to fulfill the goal of creation.
Well, Dave, these places that they're talking about, my friend, it must be something entirely different than what we call Shabbat or city or a measure of distance. It can't be the same thing.
Right. It's not physical, meaning these physical things that we think of.
Right. I mean, people all of a sudden, they hear this thing like a city or the walls of the city or...
right away we picture Jerusalem, the bricks and the...
Yeah, or 2,000 amma, 3,000 feet. It's what? It's what, 2/3 of a mile?
I'm thinking of a half a mile. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So is that what they mean?
Yeah, obviously, this ain't going to do it.
Obviously not.
This ain't going to do it. This ain't going to do it. So, and Shabbat, what is this, every Saturday? That's what it means? I can't go there every Saturday?
It's not what this is telling us.
No. It isn't even close. Let's try to define some of this stuff for them real quick.
Okay.
I think we have a lot of terms in here, and it's not easy to keep everything straight. Get this warm. Okay, let's start semi back to where we were. We're going to skip through here. We're not going to go through the entire thing word for word, but I think that we do need to start somewhere. And, of course, that's always with this area below the tabor of Golgotha. Now, you know, there's a confusion that happens a lot of time because people think, oh, well, each one of these puppies, there's Golgotha, and then there's Ab, and then there's Sag, and they think that each one of them actually goes below the tabor of Golgotha.
Right. Right.
But that's not the fact. This thing ends right here. It ends right here. So we want to make sure that we keep that straight. These are all still the desires of Golgotha down here. Now, let's see what it says here. It says that the first ascent of the world of Berea to the world of Absolute. The second one is the ascent of the world of Yetzir to the world of Absolute, and the third is the ascent, and the third release to the world of Asiyah. Now, here's the problem that we have with this: is that we went over it last week, but we have to go through the whole 9 yards and go through, you know, how Golgotha, Ab, Sag, and kind of define some stuff here. How all of this stuff actually works out, because we know that there's a withdrawal of the light each time.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to reject that light.
Correct.
And then, of course, on the rejection of Sag, as the light's coming out of there and it's going through those states, we're talking about a parsuf that's in the third state, meaning Keter, Hakma, and Bina,
Right.
which we all know is
Bestowal.
bestowal,
Right.
quality bestowal. So, it's going to go up as the light's withdrawing out of that particular parsuf. That's all about giving. It's all about giving anyway. It's going to reach a point in these levels of desires where we're looking at the level of light, the quality of the light. That's what we're talking about when they say this word hitlabshut. It's the quality of the light, meaning 2, 0, 1, 2 is the third stage. Stage 0, stage 1, stage 2, which is again Bina.
Giving, right.
And also the quality of the desire. Now, we think about that. Now, how can a desire have the stage of Bina?
Right.
I mean, is it by definition?
Because it wants to
I
receive.
get? Right.
So what is that? What does that mean?
This makes no sense, does it? I mean, if we stop and think about it, it's like,
Contradiction.
how can I possibly receive something and be a giver? It's a problem. So, what we're actually talking about here is this desire to do what the Creator does, to actually have the ability to do what the Creator does. It's the desire to be the giver. And the light that would fill that desire would be the light of me being that giver, instead of me being the receiver.
Okay.
In other words, I have this desire to be a giver, and so now I feel satisfied as the giver. And what's it going to mean to me corporeally? I'm a giver in corporeality. What is corporeality? It's just my picture, just an exterior picture of what's happening inside me, right?
Right.
We have any questions over there?
We do have a question. William from Oklahoma. Can we perceive the light without the whorls or filters, or is it too much for us to handle?
William, that's my home state, and I'm glad to see you on. Can we perceive the light without the worlds or filters? Is it too much for us to handle? It's a good question.
This is a good question.
I mean, you stop and think about it. It's like, oh, what, you're going to turn on all this light, and all of a sudden, how many lumens is involved here? I mean, are we getting close to, like, sunlight? Is that the deal? Because that can be dangerous, I mean,
right.
You get too close to this, you get cancer and all sorts of stuff, right?
Right.
Well, that's not what we're talking about, right? What are the filters? The filters are screens. intentions to do what the Creator does. And the truth is, we got a fail-safe system here. No screen, no light. No perception of the light. There's no way you can sense the light, no way you can see it without these coverings, these filters for it. It's what makes everything work for us. It's what allows us to be able to have this thing called attainment. It's a good deal. So we get up to this place, this 2-2. And of course, immediately, the creature says, ha 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 ha. This is perfect. This could not be better. I need to get these desires down here some light. How am I going to do this? No problem. I'm going to make a zivug. I'm going to make a zivug in the Rosh of Sag, same level. And I'm going to shoot light below the Tepur. No problem. Well, one problem. It's going to fire some light down here. That's what it's trying to do. And of course it's going to do it in 10 Sfirot. So we're going to have Keter Hagman being a Hesed for
Tiferet, Nesed Had, Yesod,
right. Now you already know the story. You know what's going to happen when Malchut finds out about this little plan.
Right. Light comes down. Malchut says, uh-oh. This isn't going to work. So Malchut rises to the middle of Tiferet.
That's right. What does Malchut really do? Malchut's the judgment part. It's the part that's saying, oh, no, you don't. I'm going to be like the giver. That's my whole goal. We're talking about spirituality here, folks. The absolute end of spirituality is the desire to be like the giver. The absolute end. So, you're exactly right. It's going to go right up there to Tiferet. Middle half of Tiferet. And it's going to park. It's going to say, oops, that's it, done. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. We're not taking any light down here. None. Nothing comes down here.
Because these desires are too strong.
awareness reveals that man has made progress, even if he feels otherwise. This is one of the most important parts in this whole 12-week course.
Absolutely.
This whole 12, well, we've been doing about 15 weeks now, really.
Right.
But this is an incredibly important part because it's saying, what do we do here? How are we going to actually take care of this thing in real terms? What do I need to do? How many questions have you seen on the forum? Because I see you on the forum. You're there too. And answering questions for these people. And the problem is, and you see it all the time, you can see it behind almost every question. Okay, I understand. Yes, I don't understand the thing here.
Sounds good.
What do I do?
What do I do?
Yeah, what do I do?
How does this work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
And a big part of it is drawing the surrounding light, because it shows us our state. It shows us what needs to be fixed, right? It shows us what the illness is.
The backwards part of this saying works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, you won't.
Right. Very true.
Why would I go to a doctor if I don't feel sick?
I don't enjoy going.
It's not going to... No, me either. I had to be coerced into going to the dentist. So here's the question. Where do we fit into this picture? First, I have to have that desire to do what the Creator does. Without that, we aren't even in the same ballpark here. It's just like any other person on an animal level, right?
Right.
Any other person. There is no soul there. There's a point in the heart there. I want there to be a soul, but there's a point in the heart. Remember that we talked about this thing, this middle third of the Tiferet part? Let's go back to some technical work here. Let's take a look at Tiferet. I'm going to draw it twice. First of all, we have Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchut, right?
Right.
Okay, now, so we all get a reference for what's here. There's Tiferet.
Okay.
Okay? Smack dab in the middle of the whole shooting match here.
Right.
Now, anyone that watched Rob's lesson last Tuesday, was it?
Last Tuesday night, the test lesson, yeah.
We're going to blow this up a little bit. We're going to blow this part up.
Good.
Not that kind of blow up. Draw it bigger. Get a grip. Okay.
Well,
Here's
we were
what we
talking
got.
about breaking.
Yeah. Okay, so what we have a dividing line right there, don't we? Now, remember, here's what we're talking about. We're talking about this here, and we're talking about this parsah, middle of Tiferet. Same thing. And so it's important to understand what we're doing here. Right? That makes it easier, right?
Right.
And we have one part that's called the gar, and one part that's called zat. This is
Vessels of bestowal.
and what do we call that? GE, right? Mm-hmm. Galgalta V and I am.
So why don't we just say GE like we've been doing previously? We've been calling GE
Okay.
in a hop. Why
Well,
are we
if we're
saying
going to do
gar,
that,
so-
then let's call this a hop, okay?
Okay.
Makes it easy for everyone then, okay?
But zat means what?
Same thing.
Same
We'll leave
thing.
it at that.
Okay.
Okay? For our purposes, anyway. And the ahop vessels of reception, right?
Right.
So, when we get into this system, the system that we spoke about over here in Atzilut, when we're talking about Adam over here, we have, not us, but the middle of Tiferet, we have another section here. And we hear about it all the time. We have an upper part here. Because we're constructed in the following manner: GE and a hop, and that's the upper part. That's the upper, that's creator.
Okay.
And then we also have GE and a hop. So what we have here is, I really need to draw this further, don't I? Riggin taught me how to do this properly.
See how well you listened. I think you got to push it from this side. Push, squeeze here, like that. No? Reagan? We need help.
Okay.
All right.
We're not going to worry about it.
So much for that.
Yeah. So.
We need the tape kind.
So we have something over here. Now, if this is us, okay? And then also there's something below here. Different, right?
So Tiferet is now in 3 sections?
So what we have is, we have an upper, and a lower, and Tiferet. Let's say we're talking about more or less what I perceive. In other words, my vessels, you know what? We're going to try this one more time here and make it just a little bit better for people. A little bit easier to understand. Same thing. We have same thing as before. I'm going to do it the way you want it. GE and a hop. Okay?
Okay.
And then I have something above me, the upper.
Okay. Again, GE and a hop.
And strangely enough, I have something below me. All connected. If it wasn't for that connection process to where the vessels of bestowal of the lower are inside the vessels of reception of the upper, there would be no way to correct anything. This is what happened in the breaking. A mixture of the vessels. This is called the part of the breaking called GE inside a hop. So, here's the cool part. Or not so cool. In truth, I think of this as me because this is what I perceive. This stuff. What am I actually perceiving? Here. I'm perceiving my friend's Galgalta thee and I am in me. My friend cannot do anything but bestow to me. Nothing. It's impossible.
Why doesn't it seem that way?
Because I can be in one of two states. Revealed or concealed. And the problem is, I exist in concealment as to what my friend is actually doing all the time. I don't see my friend as bestowing. Why? Because of my qualities, my problems. Because of what's not corrected in me. I'm dressing my friend as I see him based on my current qualities, not on his. So I see a thief, bad news. That's my qualities, not his. In truth, what are my vessels, my hop vessels for? My hop vessels, my desire, what I feel like is my desire, are only used for one thing. To sense and help the vessels of bestowal in the lower. Let's go it the other way. I also have vessels of bestowal. Guess what? They're concealed too. From who? Me. Where are they? Inside the hop of the upper. In truth, neither one's me. Neither one. What's going to happen here? As I begin to change my qualities, I'm going to take this one section, draw it over here, and I'm going to draw this red point, I'm going to put right here. As this begins to change its qualities, to become more and more and more like the Creator, this kind of splits. We can look at it that way. It isn't exactly, but it's easiest to understand it this way. And what ends up being here, these are my qualities of the Creator. In other words, this is where I get controlled by the Creator. This from the will to receive. Now you saw that question earlier about, do I have freedom of will? Mm-hmm. What do I do on this freedom of will thing? This thing that expands here, it is neither affected by the Creator or by the will to receive. This right here is not a creature. It's just the Creator, and you've heard it all the time in Kabbalah. What is there? There is the Creator and the will to receive. There's the light and the vessel. That's it. That's all there is. Mm-hmm. What is this that expands? This is an independent part that doesn't make its decisions based upon the desires of the creator or of the creature. It gets to choose. That is what we're trying to get to appear. What is this thing called? I bet you have a guess.
Soul.
That's why we say you start out with like a sperm, a potential soul.
A dot. That's what we call the point in the heart.
The point in the heart, exactly. The desire to do what the Creator does. The desire for a different kind of pleasure. Yes.
So is when it's just a point here, is it sensing both of these? Or is it just sensing the ahab?
Let's leave that one for just a little bit.
Okay.
Let's leave that one for a little bit. So, because we're going to get to it here. Let's see if we got any questions pertaining to this, because this is really interesting stuff. And, we're talking about you now. This is talking about you, how you actually enter spirituality. This is an unbelievably important part of Kabbalah. So if we can, go on down to the bottom of what you got there, and let's take a look at this and see if we are...
You want this question from Claude?
What's that?
It's about Malkut.
What's that?
Claude from Montreal is asking, why does Malkut accept 4-3? He refused because he knew the shame, but at 4-3 he accepted. Why? Was he sleeping?
No, Claude, because he was able to receive the vessels in the first, in only the vessels of bestowal, below the tabur where they'd never been before, no reception in it before. He was able to actually do something that got light into that down there above the parsa. He was completely, totally convinced, I can get it below the parsa. This will work. It's the right light at the right place at the right time. Bring it on. Just like Adam. Adam did not mean to break and create all of this. Why? Because all of this, folks, is one single thing. It's a creature that broke. We think of it as independent, and we don't want to give that up. Oh, my gosh. This is not an independent situation here. This is anything but independence. But what it is an opportunity to choose. The breaking happening on purpose, and it's good, because now you have an opportunity to choose, and to choose based upon no coercion at all. This independent place in here. In fact, and how do we do this? Now we need to get into this group idea. What's all this for? How do I do this? How do I develop this thing, this point? How do I get it to do this? To expand from this?
That's a good question.
That's everything. That's the whole shooting match right there. That's the growth of the soul. Is that what you want to know? Yeah. Regan's over here.
Yeah.
Licking her chops. How do you do it?
How do you do it?
And we'll tell you next week. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Let's do this. I pulled out a really short clip based on a little bit of this, and really what the group, what's B'nai Baruch, what it's about. And let's go ahead and run that right now and see a little bit from Rav, and then we'll come back.
question from Israel, how can you relate to others as yourself if that other can do you harm? We're not talking about flattery here. We're not talking about being cordial. We're not talking about just treating others with love, just like that. Treating others with love means causing them correction to the good. What does it mean that I love someone? When I love my child, what does it mean? Don't I punish them? When I love someone else, don't I force them to read something, to study, to eat what's good for them? Does love mean I see an empty stomach, I fill it up, I put you to bed, and that's it? Get up, eat, and go to sleep. Get up, eat, and go to sleep. That's it? Like an animal? Love of others means that I make them be like the Creator, like I want to be, like the Creator wants for us. We have to learn from Him what is love of others. He wants to bring us to being like Him. So with my love, how should my love be expressed towards others? By giving them this ability. Otherwise, what is it? It's a love of, it's called love of Polish mother. When she smothers her child to death. Living her child a little beast. To be healthy, yes. And they become, fat, hardly breathing, and then they say, okay, now you're healthy. You have to understand that it's about bringing a person to a state of wholeness. That's the expression of love. Yes.
As you can see, there's a responsibility in all of this. Because this point in the heart, I think of it as just me. And it's not. What I have in what I have to have, I'm concealed from the Creator. You ask if I could see it. I'm concealed from this thing, from the Creator. What am I going to do? And in fact, I'm even concealed from the GE and my friends. What I have to do is to develop the desire to do what the Creator does. That's everything. Everything. And the more I find my opposite qualities to what the Creator does, the greater my desire builds for me to change. Now, first question is,
what starts that process?
What begins everything? What begins everything originally is that I have a desire for some kind of pleasure that I can't explain. I can't describe it. I don't know where it comes from. And also, I start getting guided somewhat. Everyone was kind of guided into this particular place. But they find that there is a source that can describe what's happening to them, what they're actually wanting, what they're supposed to be accomplishing while they're here, this changing process. And then they're told there are 3 ways to get it, 3 parts to the way to get it, let's put it right, to rob the books in the group. Correct. Now everyone understands, Rob, up, great, super, got it, got to have a teacher. Let's have someone explain this stuff. Because I read the books. Yeah. I mean, come on, who wrote this stuff, Look
at these drawings.
Yeah, look at this. So I've got this material, great, and I've also got this teacher that's helping to explain it. What's with the group? This is when things start. The group is my experimental lab. The group is what allows me to work within this one desire. The group is saying, hey, this is what's the most important thing, this spirituality. Now, we're not talking about a group that is all for playing football or a group that wants to make a lot of money or none of this stuff.
We're focused on one desire here.
One desire.
One desire only.
One goal.
Right.
And it's a mutual goal. And how could they possibly work together to try to do the same thing that they're trying to accomplish individually with each other? Called love, which means how do I feel about my friend? What's my attitude toward my friend? In other words, who's more important, me or my friend?
Me or my friend.
And by the way, who is more important?
Me.
Is it me getting in spirituality, or is it more important to me that you get in spirituality, or you get into spirituality, or you get in spirituality? You see, this desire, the more I'm going to take on the qualities of the Creator, the more you're going to be important instead of
myself.
Me, along with the rest of the world. Now, obviously, we have a heck of a mission. What is it? Because, folks, let's not forget what Adam is. What is Adam? Everybody. Everybody. Some awake, some asleep, granted, so we have a heck of a responsibility. What is that? Well, first of all, in the group, my responsibility is to you and yours is to me, because remember this part down here, the Sahap and GE? I sense the GE that's in me. Where? Here. But it's clothed. I'm clothing it. What's this clothing called? A hop. Who's a hop? Mine. So, what I have to do is I have to relate to my friend in such a way, somehow develop, to where I find a way to make his progress more important than mine. How's that possible? That's only possible when I develop the desire for it to happen.
And how do we do that? Because we care about ourselves. How do we do
By the way, you have
that?
a great question here.
Which one?
The last one.
The last one.
Here's someone. How much does it cost to be in the group? From Joan. What is this group thing? How much does it cost? This is a great question.
Well, there is a cost.
What's that?
But it's not like money or anything like that. But we have to put in our part. Our importance. We have to put our importance into the group. We have to put our desire into the group. That's the cost that
I've got a group here that's influencing me. It's having a direct influence on me, constantly telling me how important the goal is. Every single moment. Nothing more important than this goal. Nothing. Great deal. That's just what I need. Only one small problem. I've got to be one of the ones doing the same thing. If I'm not doing the same thing, there's a problem. So I have two things. I have the world and I have the group inside it. The group as a whole affects the world. Why? It feels responsible for it. That's why we work in dissemination. That's why we do what we do. People ask all the time, that we've seen it on the forum a dozen times. That's what she's talking about. Joan's talking about maaser. What is maaser? What's all this payment stuff about? What's this? Oh, 10%. Are we talking about tithing like in a church? Is this what's going on here? We're actually talking about giving a gift, maybe?
No.
No, not at all. Joan, first of all, people inside B'nai Baruch, in the inner group of B'nai Baruch, every single one of them pay maaser. Every single one of them. It's 10% of everything that they make, and many times a lot more. Why? Because they're demanded to pay 10%?
No, because they feel a responsibility.
It has nothing to do with that. It has that they feel the responsibility for the correction of this. They have corrected so much here that they've reached a point to where they are now in this group and become responsible for the correction of others. It has nothing to do with some kind of a bill that you owe. It has nothing to do with, okay, do this. Now, sure, I mean, we have a beautiful center here in St. Louis. It has all sorts of amenities to it. And there's quite a few people here. Do we each of us kick in some money so we can maintain our center? Of course we do. Of course we do. Of course we do. That has nothing to do with maaser. We do this because we want a place to meet that's nice and be able to do broadcasts and that kind of thing.
Right.
That's not maaser. Work in dissemination the same way. First of all, what is the Creator wanting from me? To become like Him. To do what He does. What's the Creator trying to do? Accomplish that mission. Bring me into equivalence of form with Him. Yes?
Yes.
So, if that's what the Creator's trying to do, and the Creator's not only trying to do it with me, He's trying to do it with you and all of them. And everybody else out there too. How through out there? Well, He motivates them a little bit. He says, hey, you're not focused on this. You're focused on things you shouldn't be focused on. Stop it.
Oh.
Why don't you consider asking whether or not I should be doing this?
Take a little push every once in a while.
A little push. Sometimes that push can come in the way of a hurricane, an earthquake, a financial crisis, a war. This is being influenced like crazy in a lot of different ways. The group, which is like a soul, acting as one, trying to influence the outside through dissemination work and whatever it requires. Why do we do maaser, by the way? We do maaser because it costs money to disseminate, period. Right. You know, all this costs a lot of money. But 10%, or the malchut part, the Levi Evan that we're not supposed to touch, that's where that really stems from spiritually. What is it really? Why do these people do all this, the dissemination work and all of that? Because they're responsible for you. That's why. Because they're responsible for you. They are so responsible for you that they absolutely, no one says, hey, we need your money, or we need your time and effort and dissemination efforts. To the contrary, they say this is something that we need to do. It's important for us to do it. they've reached a place spiritually to where they've started coming out of themselves. They aren't as concerned about their own needs as they are the other person's needs. And we try to emulate that. We have students that start it way early. We have students that begin to say, they don't necessarily do maaser.
Right.
You know, they just start, oh, yeah, I want to participate, and so they start participating somewhat. Mm-hmm. That's great. This is the only reason for maaser. It has nothing to do with what you owe. And by the way, some will never reach that place. Some people won't advance that part. Some people will stay. The only thing they're supposed to do this time around is just get to a point where they just find out about Kabbalah. There are different kinds of students. There's a type of student that is just an investigator. Well, now let's see. I've checked out Buddhism, Muslim, Christianity, Judaism, Druidism, ism. Now, pardon me. And now I want to check out Kabbalahism. These are people that are not here for the same reason as someone with a point in the heart is. They want to know what's going on. Then we have people that come here because they have begun to feel something. Usually some type of suffering. And sometimes they're just here to find a way to fix that suffering. That's understandable too. They find out, they get what they want, and they go. And we have people that become interested. They want to study. They want to do things. They want to find out, can you reach this thing called spirituality, which is my changing in qualities. And now we have someone that begins to progress as a student, and they may stay at that level forever. Then we have people that obviously feel the desire quite strong. The World Kli, B'nai Baruch, which is made up of tens of thousands of people all around the world, is this group that is responsible for the 7 billion and making this thing happen.
So paying maaser is just for those that their desire brings them to that point where they feel responsible for the correction of others. That's when you pay maaser.
Of course, when you begin to advance, when you begin to advance a little bit, when you begin to want to be a part of that effort. You have a good question here. In fact, several of them.
Stoyan from Bulgaria. Can then someone go individually into spirituality when the others are still in the world of concealment? We are one creature, so only the whole creature can go in spirituality, not parts of it.
Stoyan, what you're talking about is can the qualities of this thing, this one person, change, and this one stay the same? Yes. What would happen? What would it be like, Stoyan? I would become more and more and more responsible for this. Why? I'd be sensing this more and more and more as myself. It becomes important to me. So it may not feel like what you think. And it may not always feel good, by the way. Or I might feel myself a lot more egoistic. I don't realize I'm actually making progress when I feel myself more egoistic, higher at level of aviyut.
Question from Jasmine. Who gets pushed when a hurricane wipes out an entire city? Those who physically survive? Is it to wake up the points in the heart by awareness?
Jasmine, you're thinking in terms of a human being, an animal, this animal. The Creator doesn't deal with animals. He deals with souls. It's not about the animal part of creation. The Creator wants the eternal soul to progress and grow, and you're part of it. At least there is a point in you that is part of it, but it has nothing to do with the animal that you call Jasmine. We get confused about that real quick, too.
John from Colombia. What brings us up to the point to want to share this knowledge with others? And what if they don't want to hear about it?
What brings us up to the point, first of all, John, we don't do anything alone. B'nai Baruch does everything as a group, and we do it in a way that is, all of our dissemination efforts have been and always will be to lay before mankind information, and if they are searching for it, they'll come and get it. When will they come and get it? When they're hurting bad enough, they'll come and get it. Second of all, what was the rest of that question?
If they don't
Well, if they don't want to hear it, yeah, we solve that problem real fast. We don't. They don't have to come to our site. They don't have to read our materials. They don't have to buy a book. They don't have to download a free book.
No, you don't force anything on them.
Nothing. This isn't about money or anything like that. That's for sure.
Right. If they have ears, they'll hear it, right?
Yeah, we have an issue.
Estefana. So if we feel the responsibility of paying Maser, but we can't right now, can we pay Maser with our actions?
Of course not. One pays Maser with 1/10 of everything that they receive. That is Maser. When one makes that decision, and by the way, how is it ever made? It's made from necessity. One has a certain level of necessity that they can make that must be taken care of for their own survival. There is absolutely no way a person that is having a situation where they're having a financial difficulty should even consider paying Maser or even getting involved in it like that at all. You shouldn't. You may start to feel responsible for it, but the Creator may have an obstacle before you that says, no. Mm-hmm. No, you can't.
Yeah.
This happens all the time. People get obstacles. Well, you can't do it if you have an obstacle.
You have to take care of your family.
Of course.
Meet your needs
you have to take
first.
care of your family. You have to pay your bills. You've got to do all these different things. You know, I mean, it's most certainly, you know, you can't do that. You can't, you know,
Right.
You have to make sure your responsibilities are taken care of. And then you have to make sure that this is something that you're doing for the right reason. Let's continue on with another couple. We have some more questions almost there. I want to get as many of them out of the way as I
Okay.
can for them.
Simone from Australia. Can this Maser be contributed in form of time and energy? You just answered that question.
Yeah, that's something different. We have dissemination and we have Maser. I can promise you, I certainly never tell someone to do that. What I do tell to ever send in money if they are dead, busted, broke. Now, if they come in, they say, "Hey, I don't make a blasted penny," and they're sitting there smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, we tell them, "Now, I don't think you have the right idea here.
Right.
You know, this isn't quite something that you're understanding about, nor you're probably not ready for it either. I mean, some person's idea of why they can't do this or can't do that, or just say." Most of our students literally never start with Maser, and none of these students here tonight should.
Right, exactly.
None of them.
Right. Something that develops over time.
It's something that develops over time, and what they can do is, if that feeling is there and is persistent, is to say, "Hey, look, I can't do this with 1/10 of my income, but I have got an extra $5 a week that I'm going to, do
I
into
can
this."
do
Sure.
$20
if that's
or
what
whatever.
if that is what their desire is telling them to do.
Right. And only then.
Only then. Period. It shouldn't be something because you feel like that you owe something or you're getting something for free or all of that. It's already for free for you. Keep it.
Right. Because that's not correction.
No.
That's not correction to say,
No.
if I give $20, I'm going to correct my soul.
No.
That's not
Maser
correction.
or even the donations comes out of wanting to be part of what's happening with others, not out of some debt that anyone ever owes us. They don't owe us a thing.
Right.
Ever, period.
Shima from Aruba. How can we be responsible and help the group even though you never ever get to meet your online friends or the group in person? Is that possible?
She's from Aruba? Let's have a Congress in Aruba. I mean, I've been to this place. I've scuba dived off this little bitty island. And I mean, you're talking about let's have a Congress in Aruba. That sounds real good. Call Rob. We're going to get a Congress down there. Shimmy, you got to make it up here one of these days. But I can promise you, you can participate in the Congresses with us virtually if it's just absolutely impossible that you be able to come. And you will advance. You will connect with us. And please, write us on the form about this, and I'll explain more later as we're out of time here. Do we have any more burning ones here? Oh, I like the one from Aaron.
When is it fit for a person to go to Israel and be with the core group?
When's it fit for a person to go to Israel and be with the core group? Now. You can go to Israel right now, and you're with the core group. Yeah, definitely. If you have the opportunity to go to Israel, you're crazy not to do it. I mean, literally, if that's not a problem for you, go online, register, get it done. This is something you cannot believe the amount of advancement that occurs when going to Israel. It's amazing. Let's take the next one, too, by the way. It's from Sophia.
Okay, Sophia. What happens when the soul begins the correction but doesn't use Kabbalah?
Sophia, it's impossible. You cannot go through this thing called correction and not use Kabbalah. What am I saying? I'm saying that that's like saying, what happens when I age from 5 to 9, but I don't grow? It doesn't happen. You grow. You grow. It's impossible. In other words, this process of aging or growing, same thing. The process of correction is the process of Kabbalah. It's a synonym. It's the same thing. How can I get to go from 5 to 9 and not age? You can't. We are done for the evening. As you can imagine, well, obviously we have a lot of questions here. We wanted to get to as many as we could. We have a lot of people that have written us about the group, about what's this thing with regard to Maaser, why do we pay it? We pay it because we absolutely demand to do it. So, no, there is never a situation where someone is going to come to you and say, you must pay this or you can't use the site. Use it all you like. People do dissemination work and they pay Maaser out of their commitment to the correction, out of a change in state, out of the desire to affect others, out of the desire to be a partner with the Creator. So I hope we cleared that aspect. And also the connection within the group. This is so important.
Yeah. Well, it's everything.
Oh, yeah. What's my attitude toward my friend? Who is more important here? And that's a hard one. And by the way, if his correction is more important, what am I going to want to do? Find any way that I can. And by the way, what if he's out there though and I don't know him? Now what do I do? That's where the dissemination comes in.
Right.
Yeah. So you can see how this is kind of fitting together.
And it's the same thing. It's connecting with his desire.
Right.
No matter where he's at.
Right.
Next to me or...
Everyone, we wish you a wonderful, wonderful week, and Tony will be back with you on Wednesday. We'll be back next Sunday, and we will talk with you then. Have a great evening.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.